Hey folks, welcome once again to There's Just Something About Kansas City, where we have conversations about the people, places, and things that make this such a hidden gem and a place we just love to live, and couldn't have any better guy in here today than the guy who's sitting across from me, native Kansas City himself, Tom Watson, one of the greatest golfers ever to swing a club in the World Golf Hall of Fame, and just, was 8 majors, and I think everybody really knows a lot about what Tom Watson has done on the golf course. But we always like to explore what Tom Watson is doing and has done for this city, which you have just been incredible for this city. It's been great to have you here all this time, and it was great for my career to be able to cover you all this time.
We go a long way back.
We go a long way back, yes, 1981.
Yeah,
I remember.
You know, right? Frank, it's interesting. I travel all over the world, and playing professional golf, doing that, and I meet people who either have moved to Kansas City or have been in Kansas City and make the comment about Kansas City. He said, "We love Kansas City. We love the environment, love the people, and I've had a lot of people tell me that about Kansas City, and I have it in my heart here, but I grew up here. We have a few warts, but the thing is, the Kansas City is a can-do city. Kind of goes along quietly in a lot of different ways, but gets the job done." I remember a wonderful photograph after the 1951 flood. There was a man in there that had the flood, the remnants of the flood in this artwork, and he was rolling up his sleeves like this. We're going to get the job done.
Yeah, that was the.
And that, that's a lot. That's what Kansas City means to me.
Yeah, that was the Brush Creek flood there through the middle, and that was it was really, really devastating this town.
No, actually, it goes back to 1951.
Oh, that's right.
You were born.
That's right.
And that was
not quite.
That was the major flood that ruined the stockyards.
That's right.
And actually caused the Army Corps to start building up the dikes of the river going around the airport down there, and it was through. Tragedy sometimes comes success, and that's what happened.
Yeah, and I think that was the rebirth it became the new Union Station, which is up where the Union Station is now. The old Union Station used to be right down there in the stockyards, and got flooded out, and they decided there was a point there where they didn't know whether they're going to build it or not, and they finally built it. And
it built a beautiful one.
Oh, just unbelievable! And then on display for all the parades and all the Super Bowl celebrations and the NFL draft. I
remember taking the train 1955 out of Union Station to Chicago with my grandmother. We went up with 2 purposes. One was to go to see the Chicago Zoo, and the other was to ride the escalator at Marshall Fields.
Oh my gosh!
They tell me about the escalators moving stairs, and as a 5-year-old, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's right, boy, and that's right around the time elevators came into being as well. So the old Otis brothers.
I'm taking you way back.
You are taking me way, which is great. Which is they're wonderful memories, and we just had the great privilege of visiting Whiteman Air Force Base together. We were down there with a few other Bobby Bell and Will Lanier was there, and just John Lomar, just a lot of great people that visited, and we had a chance to interact with, of course, some of our finest in the armed services, and in this case in the Air Force. But what I didn't know, and you sort of said it as an aside, that your dad was in World War II, and tell the story about your dad. I guess his missions, and was he a navigator? Was that on?
My dad was a navigator on a B-24. He tells a story about how the first long range trip he took was from San Francisco to Hawaii, and as a navigator back in those days, you had to take 3-star fixes, meaning your navigation was dependent on the sextant or whatever they call it, and you do the fixes to make sure you're
you're going the right way.
Celestial navigation,
mm-hmm.
And it's the way centuries man has used the stars, the sun, and the stars to navigate on the oceans, and the ocean of air. And he said he was really pretty proud of the fact that he got them within 2 miles of the exact destination, going all the way over to Hawaii.
Wow!
And then it was on to New Guinea, through the islands Micronesia there, and he served his combat from New Guinea.
Yeah, and he had a lot of missions and was never shot down.
He did 53 missions.
Wow.
My aunt, his sister, received a lot of letters from my father, and she gave me those letters, and I read them all.
Wow.
And they were funny, actually. He was giving her love advice because she was 5 years younger, giving her love advice from the war theater in New Guinea. But I remember one letter he said, "Well, I'm coming home. I've done my 33 missions. I'm coming home." And 3 weeks later, she gets another letter. Said, "Nope, they kept me in." And he did another 20 missions.
Wow.
And came home.
And he was never shot down. I mean, when you think about that.
I'm here.
I know. But
I'm here
even
because
to
of
be
that.
shot down to be a prisoner of war somewhere or whatever.
Again, what was the great movie about the book about the plane that was shot down, floated in the Pacific, got caught by the Japanese, went to Japanese prison camps.
That was Unconquered. No, I know the movie you're talking about.
Well, but it was a great book. It was tremendous, and boy, what a tribute to the human psyche.
Yes, absolutely, just incredible. So, your dad comes back, obviously gets married. You are a result of that.
He got married in 5 days.
After he got back, he got married within 5 days.
It was leave. It was on leave, and he was still still in it. And they decided, mom and dad decided to get married, and they told everybody. And 5 days later, they were married. Mom had a full wedding dress made for that in 5 days.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
It was funny. One of my uncles did a written report about that. I mean, he was so funny about the people who came and all that. It was really funny. These family history is when you go back and you didn't know, you weren't alive back then.
Right.
To live to relive your family's history is pretty important.
Yeah, especially those letters you have from your dad. Did he ever talk about the war very much?
No.
Okay, yeah. That's like a lot of that Greatest Generation. They just didn't talk about it, did they?
I've never been close to it. I went to Iraq a couple times, but and I've been around a lot of warriors, wounded warriors, people, men who have severe physical and mental issues.
Yeah.
You can't understand if you're just a civvy like me, the horrors of being in war.
Yeah.
You can't understand it. I don't care. Saving Private Ryan, that first opening scene, 20 minutes on the invasion of Normandy, it gives you maybe a little taste of what it was really like. Yeah. But you can't really understand it.
Yeah, they are our best and brightest and most heroic. Yeah, you bet. To put your life on the line for your country.
Yeah.
There is no greater sacrifice. In the Gold Star families who lose somebody, it's tough.
Yeah,
it's very, very difficult.
We should always support those families.
Yes, absolutely.
Folds of Honor does the same thing.
Yes.
Wonderful thing. And,
yeah, right.
It's you go through life and you want to try. You want to help people if you can. We've got a good. Sure, we have our struggles and we do things. We have our difficulties, but there are people who have greater difficulties than we do. We need to be concerned about those people.
Yeah, you bet. And your dad, of course, introduced you to golf.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
6 years old.
Yeah, you're 6 years old.
I was just a snot-nosed kid. I had a brother 3 years older than I was. He just had started playing the game, and Dad introduced me with a cut down hickory shafted, I think 5-iron, and he said, "All right, son, here's the grip. Don't ever forget this grip. Point your V's of your hands toward your right shoulder. Okay, spread your feet a little bit. Now I want you to turn your back to the target on your backswing, and when you follow through the key on the follow through, I want you to finish with your belly button facing the hole." And that taught me, and what he did, he put his hand on my head to keep it still when I made the turn on the backswing. And he only had to do that once. I got it. Keep my head still, turn my back, and then finish with my belly button to the target. And that was it. That was it, babe. And I teach that lesson all the time to to young kids.
Right.
I say, I tell young kids, hit it as hard as you can, in balance. You stay in balance, but hit it as hard as you can. Learn speed early. Learn to really hit it hard.
Yeah.
If you're a right-hander, you just pour it on with your right hand. Just hit it hard. Keep it in balance. Finish with your belly button to the hole. And by doing that, your hips lead the arms on the downswing. It speeds up your arms. If your hips stop and you don't finish with your belly button to the hole, your arms slow down.
Yeah.
And you don't get that speed.
That's it. And you need the speed for the
Instant
distance.
lesson, Frank.
I know. I'm just picking this up. I'm going, number one, I can't get my back around it. I can't twist that far, and I can't, rotate that quickly either because in my head.
Well, we both can't.
I know.
We both can't.
But you came up, and it was interesting to me, too. Not only did you play golf, I think you even caddied for your dad. I mean, your dad was
Sure.
a Kansas City Country Club champion. He's a
Yeah.
club champ, right? And you even caddied for your father.
Oh, sure.
At
Well, I
one
caddied
time
for
as well,
other
right?
people, too.
Yeah,
I
right.
was trying to make some dough.
That's it.
I was paid for 18 holes. I was paid $1.25. I got lucky. I got a 50-cent tip,
Wow.
and so it was. Honestly, we can fast forward a little bit of what I'm trying to do now.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a caddy, and those kids right there, I was kids from all walks of life, not members. A bunch of them weren't members. And the great thing about being a caddy is that you had the opportunity to play golf at the club on Mondays because the club was closed.
Right.
Now, I had the privilege of being able to play anytime, or anytime that allowed kids to play. But those kids, if they got inspired to play, and Paul Weiler back in those days, and then Stan Thirsk, they helped these caddies. They gave them lessons, and they got out in the golf course and played.
Yeah.
When I joined the tour, I saw the caddy programs just go away because of carts.
Right.
And there was none of this main line of all kids from all sorts of life, all ways of life to be introduced to the game.
Right.
So they all of a sudden went away. So I started a program called Clubs for Kids, and that was a one-day shot, and that was essentially give a kid a golf club and a golf lesson. But that was just one day, so that really didn't work. And then we started a program here to help the kids out at Blue River Golf Academy out at Sewell Park. We had a wonderful mentor who just loved the game of golf, and two of us together just went and created a program where the kids were brought out, given some lessons, and then we built a 3-hole facility up on top of the hill out there. It's called Heart of America now, and the kids had a chance to play. And that was kind of the precursor of the First Tee program. We opened that facility, 3 holes, and we had representatives from the PGA of America and the PGA Tour that came out, and they saw what was happening. All of a sudden, a year later, the First Tee was born. And the First Tee program is a program to get kids, have kids go out and take lessons, learn how to play the game, but also be taught the 9 core values that are associated kind of with the game itself, the etiquette of the game. Honesty, integrity, sportsmanship, perseverance, and all those things. And that was great. That was great. But what happened was that these kids would come and they'd go to the First Tee facility at kind of early age, between 9 and 11. That was our premier time for the kids.
Right.
And after that, they kind of petered out. They didn't stay in the program. And why? They didn't have a place to go play. Or somebody to play with. Mm-hmm. So a couple of years ago, I said, I think we've got a good idea here. Let's create a mentorship program where these kids can sign up, go play 9 holes with a mentor, with an older person who, they have a passion for the game, they love the game. Go play 9 holes with them out on the golf course. Kind of be taught. It could be taught some skills and things like that, but just go play. Mm-hmm. Because these kids in the First Tee program really didn't have the opportunity to do. Most of them didn't have a chance to go play the game and learn the game, play the game the way it should be. And that's what we've created here. We call it a Watson Links, and it's through the to the firsttkc.org. You can sign up, and we've got a program that's going to extend through the middle of October. And the great thing about this program, Frank, is that we have great interest from all around the country for this program.
Right.
We've exported it to Sacramento now. We have other programs who are going to put it in play next year. And you know what my hope is? My hope is the National First Tee, which is based out of Ponte Vedra under the PGA Tour, will look at this and say, we need to incorporate this with our First Tee program.
Right.
And we have the pro formas, we have how it works here, the budgets and things like that we can export anywhere. And so I'm making a plea through this podcast to the PGA Tour and the First Tee program, National First Tee program, to take a hard look at this program. So I really believe it's going to create lifetime golfers. And that I have a couple of foundations that I've created over the years. The first statement is the mission statement. You know what the mission statement is? To create lifetime golfers. I want to create lifetime golfers, and that's been my task and my direction ever since I got on the tour, because I just saw the caddy programs go away and they didn't see any more kids getting involved with the game.
Yeah, it'd be great if those golf carts went away anyway. I think everybody'd be in better shape if they
better
walked
shape.
every
You're right.
day. You got that right. Stayed in shape like you have virtually your entire life. But the thing also, you also just put up a little WeLinks course up at Heritage Park, and that is for kids even younger. Your target, I think, for Watson Links is more like the 9 to 11-year-old child or whatever.
And beyond.
And beyond, yeah, and then create their love for golf, and then they take it because we need more golfers. The Tiger Woods phenomenon has basically waned and sort of gone away with these kids. And
but COVID really helped us because the kids couldn't
back
do
on the
anything,
course.
and
Right.
the only thing they could play was golf.
Yeah, right.
Outside,
Right.
fresh air, no mask, and things like that. But let me explain the WeLinks. It was not my idea at all. The idea was Jeff Bury.
Yeah.
Jeff Bury is
The all-time great
yeah,
guys.
great guy. He out in Eudora, he had his driving range, and he created a WeLinks out there. And WeLinks is very simple. It's not an acre of land. There are 6 holes. The holes are not any longer than about 30 or 40 yards.
Perfect.
You have an artificial tee, so you don't wear out a patch of grass. There's real grass. You play real grass, and the cups are 6 inches wide, which is about 50% larger than a normal cup.
I could use that.
Yeah. And you can take a kid of any skill level and give him 2 clubs, say a 9-iron and a putter. Go out there and play, and say, all right, there's the flag, 30 yards away. Let's see how many strokes it takes you to get in the hole from here. They can conceive that.
Yes.
In 30 yards, beginners and small kids, they can conceive, that's the goal right there. They can't conceive 200 yards away or even 100 yards away or even 50 yards away. I said, that's where I want to be. And, that's teaching the game of golf right there.
Right.
Ben Crenshaw, he had his first lesson from Harvey Penick, the great teacher down in Austin. And he went out there with his dad, Charlie. Ben did. And Harvey looks down at Ben, and he's 7 years old, and he said, Ben, I want you to take your 7-iron and your putter. And you see that green over there? Take one ball. I want you to chip it onto the green as close as you can and put it in. That was his first lesson. He didn't give him another lesson for 2 months. That's all Ben did, was chip the ball with a 7-iron and put it in. Chip it and put it in. And Ben said this. He said, Mr. Penny taught me what the game of golf is all about right there. Getting the ball in the hole, getting as close to the hole as you can with every shot, and then put it in.
Right. Few strokes as you could possibly do it, and then that becomes the game.
That's
for
the game.
them. Yeah.
You started at,
Right.
you start 400 yards away and hit a driver, and then a second shot to try to get as close to the hole as you can, and then try to put it in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've seen the Wii Links. Obviously, I play at Heritage all the time. Love Rob Wilkin up there, the great golf pro. But that course, every time I've been up there to play, there have been families on that course. And I'm not just talking about a dad and a son. I've seen mom and her daughter and her sons. I saw a mom and a dad and their two. The one kid was on mom's hip for a hole. Dad showed, and then she handed the baby to dad. All right, and then she grabbed a golf club and she went around with him on the next hole.
Cool.
And then they swapped them back and forth because the baby was too small to do it. But that is what it's all about. I mean,
We're
that
trying
is
to
where you
create
get
a lot
started.
more of these wheel links around Kansas City and various places. But that it gives you the opportunity to learn the game. It gives a young person an opportunity to kind of learn the game and get some success. That's the thing,
Yeah, you bet.
Early success.
And the thing about you as well as what people may not know is that you didn't just play golf. You played in high school. You played football. You played you played everything. Basketball.
Yeah.
I even think somebody told me you're really a good ping pong player. Okay,
No,
so
I'm not. That's
somebody told me table tennis
I'm
was
not.
pretty big.
I am not. I was a pretty good pool player, though.
Okay, all right.
I couldn't beat my friend Bob Murphy, who was on the tour. Well, Murphy, he said he put himself through college playing pool.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Sounds
I never beat him.
Sounds like the Cincinnati Kid. One of those deals. But for you, you did play other sports, and I think you're an advocate of that too.
I am.
The more athletic you are,
I see kids, and the grandkids are kind of the same way. They play soccer almost all year round.
Yeah.
But my son, God bless him, he takes them out to the golf course, does that. He gardens with them, fishes with them. So there's that's what you do with kids. You got to expose them to
other stuff.
A lot of other stuff. Let them get some joy out of different things. Maybe this one works, maybe it doesn't. This one, all of a sudden, wow, I like this dad or granddad. Yeah. And that's what you do.
That's really important advice for parents out there, I think, too. The year-round thing drives me crazy.
Well, it does, and it's precipitated by, year-round, you got to be really good at sports so you can get a scholarship to go to college.
Yeah, right.
Pay for it. Well, that's understandable as how expensive colleges are. Man, I can understand that. The parents, kind of force their kids to do it because it's a financial decision on the parents' behalf. College, costs have been way out of hand for a long, long time.
Yeah. Doesn't look like it's going to get much better anytime soon either. Yeah. Let's talk about some other things about Kansas City and the things you've done besides now the Wii Links and the Watson Links situation here with you. Is you have always been such an advocate for this city, trying to help those who need help. Children's Mercy Hospital Golf Classic was prime example of that for 20 years that you did that. And then you continued on with in ALS because of your wonderful caddy, Bruce Edwards, who died from ALS. I had my old trainer from Villanova, who also, Jake Nevin, who died from ALS. George Brett obviously had,
Keith Worthington.
And that was the big foundation here for a long time.
That's how it
Keith
started.
Worthington Society here. But you have always given back to this city, which is just, it has been phenomenal. The Children's Mercy Hospital Golf Classic, this is from my standpoint alone, let alone all the help it gave to all the young kids there and all the kids who were going through their treatments. I get to meet Arnold Palmer. I'm from Latrobe, Pennsylvania, right up the street from Pittsburgh, my hometown, and got to meet him and Jack Nicklaus. And, the list was just phenomenal, both men and women professional golfers that you had here for those 20 years. That was a phenomenal run.
Well, Linda and I went to the Hall Foundation, went to Bill Harsh and Adele Hall, had a meeting with them one time, and they would like to talk to you about creating a golf classic, and the beneficiary would be Children's Mercy Hospital, and Bill and especially Adele were intimately involved with Children's Mercy. We sat down for lunch, and Linda and I explained what we're trying to do. how I saw a very successful operation or charitable day work in Spokane, Washington, the kind of the format they used, and it was it was a 4-person format. 4 pros go out in the morning. You did a clinic, and then in the afternoon you played golf. You had lunch in between. It was a full day for the players. And we could raise some money. And I mean, I remember this perfectly. Adele said, "Well, Tommy, how much money are you trying to raise here?" I didn't have a clue. I said, I just put out a number, $75,000. And she said, with a smile on her face, "We can do better than that." And the first year, I think we netted out over $200,000 for the hospital.
Right, and that was 1980.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that was for the
number one.
neonatal intensive care unit. Every year for the Children's Mercy, we always designated the monies raised to go to a particular operation at the hospital.
Yeah, right.
And it was, and you know what? We never had a title sponsor or anything like that. We really didn't. We went to the community. The largest contribution was made was $3,000.
Wow.
The good thing about it was you could go to them in October or November when they're doing their budgeting for the next year for the charitable bunch, and these, sure, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll do it. We didn't ask too much, and that was kind of the format up in Spokane. And we made everybody pay. Everybody got in there, had to pay.
Yeah.
Everybody else. I remember one of your fellow sportscasters, called Chuck and said, "Chuck, I need some tickets to this." I said, "Sure, they'll be $25." And he said, "Well, don't you just know?"
No freebies.
No freebies. No, Chuck, come on. So what Chuck did, he sent him the tickets, and Chuck out of his pocket
Paid for himself.
paid for them.
Wow.
And
I'm glad that wasn't me.
Well, it was, but again, he got the message.
Yeah.
But that's everybody's in the game.
Sure.
Everybody's doing their little bit to help the hospital, and that was the beauty of that program.
Right, and the great thing about it was obviously you during that time you had already established yourself on the PGA Tour and had many of your big victories before that time, but you never really had anybody say no. I know Tiger was a different situation back in those days, but you had every great golfer. Lee Trevino. I mean, you could just go down the list of every great golfer you can think of from the 70s and 80s and 90s, male and female, like I said before. No one ever said no to you for this situation.
I tell you why. Very simple. We pros, when we are asked to do these all over a lot during the country, and some people go, we want you to do it for free. Come on, it's for charity.
Mm-hmm.
And I told right from the beginning, I said, no, we're gonna pay your full fee, your appearance fee, to everybody we ever invited, everybody. And so it was a pretty easy ask. Jack came here 6 times.
I know.
I think Arnie came here 5, and I think Trevino came here 4 or 5 times. So we had 3 premier players in golf show up, and it was an easy sell. Every year it was an easy sell. Bill Sight, he was kind of the development man. He'd go and, would you like to sign up this year? Oh, sure. Like to sign up? Sure. You'd love to. Like to sign up? Would you like to be, pay the $250 to see the clinic, and go to lunch, and have it.
Have the guys tell the tales up in the lunchroom,
And
away from the cameras.
From $25, which is the just the charge to go watch us play in the afternoon, $250 was the charge to see the clinic in the morning, have press conference, clinic, and then go to lunch. And that was an easy sell too.
Yeah.
We sold that out every year.
Yeah. Well, one of the great guys was Peter Jacobson and his his imitation.
Craig Stadler.
Oh my gosh.
His imitations were great.
His imitations were. I mean, he was. Guys would be giving a clinic, and you got Trevino or whatever. They're hitting it off of Coke cans, and they're doing all kinds of. I'm going to put this one up, and it's going to go over my head or whatever. But Jacobson, when he imitated the other pros on tour. It was just, that was hilarious. I think the fans loved that almost more than anything else.
He loves that. Of course, Trevino was always nonstop talking.
Oh, yeah.
Lee, he always joked, he said, I can't wait to wake up in the morning to hear what I'm going to say next. He's always talking. I always love, people say, who do you love to play with out in the tour? Well, my favorite was Lee. He loosened me up. He was always talking. He was a friend. Boy, he's a great player. He was the best controller of the golf ball in my era. Yeah. He could make the ball sing. He controlled it better than anybody, and it's a joy to watch him practice. Enjoy to watch him play, and to listen to what he had to say. It was a complete package.
Yeah, you bet. And you had a great relationship, of course, with Bruce Edwards, your caddy, who I think you met him he was 17 or 18 years old. Is that right? He was still a high school kid?
Yeah, he was just graduated from high school from Connecticut up in Weathersfield, and he had joined the tour, and he caddied for a year on the tour. And in 1973 at St. Louis, St. Louis Children's Golf Classic, Gene Littler won. He just came back from a year after getting cancer in his cancer surgery. And he won that tournament. I remember that. It was hot. It was 100 degrees. And I was walking in. I drove down there, and I got my McGregor bag out of the trunk of the car and was walking in to register. You go register. You paid your $50 back in those days to play in the tournament, to the PGA Tour. Actually, went to the sponsors for their Pro-Am purses. And walking in there, halfway in there, this kid comes up, real long hair, nicely dressed. And he said, Tom, could I caddy for you? And I said, hold on. I put the bag down. Let's talk about this a little bit.
Slow down, big fella.
Yeah, exactly. Slow down. Who have you caddied for? And he said, well, I caddied for Dick Lotz. I knew Dick. And I caddied for, I forget who else. And so I said, all right, I'll give you a shot. So he took the bag. I go in and register. It was about 95 degrees at that time. And I go to the practice range. I decided I wasn't going to play a practice round because I had just gotten married to Linda for a honeymoon. I needed some work in my golf swing. So I go down to the practice range, and for about 3 hours, when it was 100 degrees, I had a wallet, and I said, all right, buy me another bucket of balls. We had to pay for our practice balls in those days, Frank.
Wow.
We had to pay.
It's like going to the Muni.
$2 for a large bucket.
Oh.
I don't know how many. I know I had to have at least $20 of golf balls that day. And he was, I could just see Bruce was sitting there. What did I get myself into?
Yeah.
But anyway, I finished sixth that tournament, and walking off the 18th green, he said, Tom, can I caddy for the rest of the year? I said, hold on, slow down. Yeah. You can caddy for the next week at the Canadian Open. Well, that lasted for 30 years.
Yeah, isn't that great? Yeah. Bruce was he was on your back for all your great wins, for all practical purposes, and just you became so close to him and his family. And then, of course, we all know the tragic part with ALS with Bruce, and then that spurred you on after the Children's Mercy Hospital Golf Classic to get involved with trying to fight that terrible disease.
I joined up with George Brett and his commitment to raise funds for ALS research with his good friend Keith Worthington, who passed away from ALS, and created I think it was the first foundation
in the country for ALS.
Yeah, for ALS. And I joined up with him, and we did it in behalf of Joe McGuff, the great sports writer turned editor of the Kansas City Star.
Right.
And Joe actually had the disease for a lot longer than most people do, and he finally passed from it. I think he had the disease for 11 or 13 years, and that's unheard of with ALS. Right. So anyway, we continue to do that, and we still continue to do that. And help raise funds for our local ALS program. And most of the funds go to really, some of it goes to research, but a lot of it goes to taking care of people who have ALS, and there's an extreme big cost involved with that, with devices that they need to be able to talk, and motorized wheelchairs and things like that.
Yeah, and I think also the toughest part of that disease is takes your whole body away, but doesn't take anything from your brain away, and
Exactly.
That's very, very difficult.
It's a difficult thing to comprehend until you see it, and then you just go, you poor person, my God, look what you're going through.
Yeah. It's just, it's very, very difficult. Yeah, we saw Jake Nevin, my old trainer back at Villanova, just, he died from that as well. And then I've got to get the story of how you ended up with Neil Oxman as your caddy later, because here's this guy from Philadelphia, went to Villanova, by the way. Mm-hmm. He is a political consultant in Philadelphia and does all
he ran a political operation, a campaign group.
Yes.
Called the campaign group.
The campaign group,
and very successful.
And how did you meet up with Neil?
It was very simple.
And
it goes all the way back to when Bruce asked me for my bag. Neil Oxman was caddying that time.
Oh, he was a caddy back then.
He was a caddy.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize
He started caddying early in his life, too. There's a good story about Neil. But he said, he told Bruce, "Hey, Bruce, there's Watson over there. Go over there. He might be a pretty good player someday. Go ask him you can caddy for him." So he urged Bruce to caddy for me.
Got you.
And Neil caddied for a variety of guys in the tour. He made money to put himself through law school. He caddied more than he went to class in law school. In fact, in graduation, he graduated. Mm-hmm. Graduation, he didn't show up.
Probably had two bags.
Well, he was caddying someplace. Yeah, right. And as he tells it, at the ceremony, when they announced his name, the whole class gave him a standing ovation.
And he wasn't
because they had never gone to class. And he's not there, and he still gets his diploma.
That's a pretty sharp guy right there. Yeah. Where he knew exactly what he was doing.
He took two. He opened up two bank accounts, one of $50 and another $100, to start the campaign group. And he started. He worked for Al Gore in 1980 in his presidential campaign, and he worked. He worked for various other basically local Phillies, but then he expanded out nationally.
Right.
He did Jay Nixon's campaign.
Yeah.
And he expanded his operation.
Yeah.
He made a lot of money.
Yeah. I think he's done all right. Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about Neil, he has the biggest heart, biggest charitable heart. He loves the caddies. He loves to come out and be with the caddies. Just be with the caddies.
Right.
Because they all have stories and they all share, that life, that gypsy life.
Yeah, right.
And he's helped them out so much financially.
Yeah.
With big medical costs and other things out of his pocket.
Yeah.
Unbeknownst, you do things without telling anybody.
Right, exactly.
But we find out.
Yeah,
about
sure.
Neil. You find out these things about Neil. Yeah. And he's just such a wonderful person.
We don't talk politics here, but you and him getting along out there on a golf course, was it a little fire and rain?
No, he's one of the he's one of the few, especially today, that you can talk to when you have differing opinions about politics.
Exactly.
And it's actually fun. It's fun to pick his brain about how this candidate will fare or things like that.
Sure.
He's always asked, how will this candidate do this and like this, and so we spar. But
a good sparring.
Well, yeah. But it's we don't we don't get angry and throw things at each other like most people do today.
Yeah, people do today. And the other thing, the great tradition, I think, when Bruce Edwards was your caddy and you were at Augusta, he would always give you the egg salad sandwich. I think on what was it, the 12th green?
It was on the 12th.
12th green, and I guess when Bruce was with you after, I think it was just.
Well, Bruce, when he caddied for me at Augusta, he would always get an egg salad sandwich. It cost $1.50.
Right.
At Augusta.
Still does.
Still does. And he would put it in the bag, and then we always had a delay at 13T because it's that short par 5, sharp dogleg left. So we always had a delay. So he'd go up the tee and sit down on the bench and eat his egg salad sandwich.
Wow.
And when Bruce died, Neil came up to me and said, "Here." He gave me a wrapped egg salad sandwich. He said, "Just write Bruce on it and leave it on the bench."
Wow.
And I did. And
Yeah.
it got some comments.
Yeah, I'll bet it did. I'll bet
From the
it.
caddies.
Yeah, I'll bet it took you away from the game for a few minutes too, right?
Yeah, some tears.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, you bet, absolutely. And from that point, I know the PGA Tour is where it is today. Now we have Live Golf, and you've been very vocal about the Live Golf situation as well.
I wrote a letter that
Yes.
I asked a lot of questions, and explained some of the things that I thought were wrong. First of all, there was no player involvement in the negotiations.
Right.
And now, fast forward ahead, they've added Tiger Woods to the player board, and now the players themselves have a majority in the board. So all the decisions are going to have to be approved by the players. And the thing was, it was done in such secrecy. It was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, just looked bad.
It was done, and the reason it was done very simply was that the tour was spending way too much money trying to keep the players from defecting to the Live Tour.
Right.
And they got to the point where we're going to go broke. But they went to their the enemy and said, "Okay, you got the money, come and let's join forces."
Yeah,
and I disagree with that.
Yeah, I know.
Big time.
Yeah, you bet, because of what has happened in Saudi Arabia and
what
more ways
happened at
than one,
9/11?
Yeah, 9/11 too.
In particular.
Yes,
in
right.
particular.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I think that right now I haven't heard anything about the foundation or the program. Have you?
No,
I haven't
not
heard
one thing.
a darn thing. I asked a lot of questions in the letter,
Right.
and
Haven't
yet
had any answers?
and nobody actually responded from the tour to that letter to me.
Yeah.
I had no response. And where is it? Well, I suspect that the Live Tour. I know the Live Tour is going to exist next year in 2024. I know that. I think I hear Nicholson talking and said none of the Live players want to go back to the PGA Tour.
Yeah, sure.
All the Live players want to do is they want to play the majors, and possibly the Ryder Cup, but they just want to play the majors.
Yeah.
They've got their pockets full of money, and but they still some of them can really play. Look at Brooks Koepka winning the PGA this year.
Absolutely.
And they can still play, obviously, but they play a different format, and it's I call it an exhibition tour. It's exhibition. We play. I think the PGA Tour plays the way it should be. I mean, you have to make a cut. I mean, that's part of the deal. I mean,
the Live Tour, they have no cut.
Well, you have to make a 36-hole cut, or you don't play the weekend on the PGA Tour.
Exactly.
And that keeps you sharp. That's real competition. That's real competition. Tiger Woods said this. He was asked, "What was your most cherished accomplishment on the PGA Tour?" And he said, "I didn't miss a cut for 6.5 years."
Oh, God.
He said that. So that's what the cut meant to Tiger Woods. It meant everything to me when I first joined the tour, Frank, because if I made the cut when I was not an exempt player, back in those days, top 60 players were exempt. Everybody outside of that had to qualify on Mondays at the tournament site to get in the tournament. Well, if you made the cut, you didn't have to qualify on Monday for the next tournament.
Right.
So the cut was primo. That's the only thing you're thinking about teeing off on Thursday. Make the cut.
And then just go from there.
Then everything else was kind of, all of a sudden you relaxed and playing the last 2 days. And but making the cut was the most important thing. So that was the competitive part of it that it steeled me. But these kids, these guys on the Live Tour, they're basically playing an exhibition. They're playing with shorts, loud music, and they're playing for a lot of money. They've been guaranteed a lot of money, but several of those guys can really play.
Yeah,
they can flat play. So, how will it end up? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah. No one does, I think, at this point.
No.
I think it's short-lived. I think they're going to combine, especially with Tiger and now a lot of the players on the board itself. You have always been one of those players, the decorum, the game. You were taught at a very young age by your dad and then by Stan Thirst, the great golf pro at Kansas City Country Club, about decorum and honesty and
No, the game is a game
to the way you play the game, and that has been reflected. The Royal and Ancient overseas in Britain has made you their ambassador for golf. And I think you went over there this past year. We were going to do this a little earlier, and you said, I'm going to be gone basically the month of July. I'm going to be over there for 30 days. And I'm thinking, wow, he's going. And then I see where the Royal and Ancient has come out and made you one of their ambassadors of golf, which I just think that has to, that just has to make you feel really, really good.
It does.
About your career.
My career put me in the position.
Right.
Being successful at the Open Championship. And they said, would you like to represent us? And I said, well, sure. I have deep roots with the RNA and the Open Championship. I love playing golf over there now. I hated playing links golf at the beginning, Frank. I didn't like it at all. Man.
I remember that, you telling us that.
My first shot on a links golf course, I hit it right down in the middle of the fairway. I couldn't find the ball. Literally.
Must have been at the old course.
It was at Montefiore up there by Carnoustie, and hit it out there. And I was playing with John Mahaffey and Hubert Green. We all hit it down in the middle of the fairway. Go out there and find two balls. There's not a third ball. Where's my ball? Where's my ball? We looked for it for a couple of minutes, couldn't find it. The caddies, he had everybody. And so I just dropped one in the fairway, hit to the green, and at the last moment I said, nah. It's got to be maybe way over here to the left, and that's where it was. It was like 40 yards or 50 yards left of the center of the fairway. So it hit a mound in the middle of the fairway and just caromed and rolled forever and went up in this went down in this little depression.
Couldn't see it.
Couldn't see it.
Wow.
And I said, I don't like this game.
Well,
I don't like the way this was turned out.
I think you conquered that.
Well, I did.
After a while, yeah. I think, in fact, I could. If you could live anywhere else, you could live in Scotland for free. Okay, I don't think there's
I'd
any
go up to
doubt
Dornoch.
about that.
That's where I'd go.
Yeah,
Dornoch is a wonderful place.
Yeah.
Your listeners here, if they ever have a desire to play golf in Scotland, go to Royal Dornoch up north of Inverness, and really enjoy that golf course. It's really a great course.
There's a great hint from Tom Watson, and of course then when your final there, or not, it wasn't the final time you had played there, but at almost 60 years of age, you almost won that British Open, and that was for us here in Kansas City. I think when Stuart Sink, of course, ended up winning the tournament after he got into a playoff with you, after you had bogeyed the 18th hole, was the fact that Stuart Sink said after he said, everyone, including my own family, was cheering for Tom Watson in that golf tournament. So that was a terrific. It was terrific for us because of the way you handled that. I mean, where you were. I know that had to be crushing at the time, but the way you handled it was just incredible.
Well, it was. I jokingly, when people remind me of that, I said, they looked up on that big yellow scoreboard there during the tournament. They saw the name Watson at the top of the leaderboard. They looked at, they go, that's not a B in front of his name.
That's a T instead of Bubba.
Yeah,
it's Tom.
Right,
yeah,
so,
yeah.
But no, and the aftermath of there did all the interviews and all this sort of stuff. Go up to the hotel room, and Hillary and I were dressing for dinner, and she got a phone call from Barb and Nicholas. She, hi, Barb. Yeah, okay. She hands me the phone and says, Jack wants to talk to me.
Oh, boy.
And he goes,
Tom, I did something today I've never done before.
I said, what's that, Jack? He said,
I watched your first shot to your last shot. I've never watched anybody that long in a televised golf tournament.
That's all he said.
Yeah, and I kind of laughed and I said, well, that's great. And
He said, you won the tournament.
I didn't win the tournament, Jack. No, you won it. You beat everybody in the field. No, I didn't. And so he was trying to console me a little bit.
Yeah, he's a good friend.
And then he said,
well, the 18th hole, you hit a perfect tee ball. Second shot, if it comes up 6 inches short, you two-putt to win easily. The third shot you played the shot that wouldn't lose you the tournament.
and I putted it instead of chipped it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, the putt, you hit it like the rest of us would have hit it, you dog. And they're sticking the needle in me, and that cracked me up.
Yeah.
And, and here's the greatest player in the game calling me at a time that he knew that I was empty and hurting. maybe because I did it to him a couple of times.
Yes, you did.
And he knew the situation.
Absolutely, you did. Yeah.
At the U.S. Open and the British Open in '77.
That's right.
But here he is calling me to console me as a friend.
Unbelievable.
And that was pretty cool.
Okay, before we let you out of here, got to talk about cutting horses. And you got into it with Hillary
Because of Hillary.
Because
That's
of Hillary,
right,
and
yeah.
she was a horse person.
Right after we got married, when I married her, she came with horses. She
Okay.
came with 3 horses. So
Okay.
it
So
was
time
perfect.
you marry me, I'm bringing my 3 horses.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, fortunately I had a place to put them on
Yeah,
the
that's
farm,
right.
and we built a small barn for them. But that led into her getting introduced to the cutting horse world.
Right.
We did some team sorting together. I wasn't any good. It didn't have any spurs. My horse didn't react. But we had some fun doing that. A big group of people. We get 10 cows and you try to separate them all out in order and things like that. So that was kind of fun. And then she got introduced to the cutting horse world.
Right.
And she started small, and then all of a sudden, this year we're going to go to a big show. They went to the non-pro in Oklahoma City, and she won it. She won the 15,000 amateur there.
Oh, wow.
And that elevated the types of shows that she competed in, and she got better and better and better. And I have to say this about her: the last 2 years of her life, she contracted pancreatic cancer and died. The last 2 years, she still competed. She still would compete in between treatments, and she finished 8th and 5th in the overall amateur standing for the year.
Wow.
Doing that, so she was pretty good. Getting back to how I started about 7 years ago. My career was over, basically. I couldn't hit the ball far enough. I couldn't compete at the Masters or the Open Championship. Couldn't do it. I retired from both of those. And I said, I want to try something. I said to myself, I want to try something new.
I need a goal. I need something to do.
I want to try something where I'm not any good at anything and see if I can get good at it. And sure, I had kind of the inroad with Hillary, watching her all those years. I said, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this, not try it. I'm going to do it. So I said to my farm manager, who is a great horseman, Tom Arn, I said, Tom, teach me to be a cutting horse showman. He said, all right, here we go. Got to get yourself a horse. I went to the British Open, came back, and he had a horse. I started that Monday.
Wow.
Riding the horse, learning how to basically take care of the horse, how to hold the reins, use my feet, and that was a process. And then I competed. Our first show a couple months after that, and then I had a goal, Frank.
I know what this goal is.
Well, there was a guy on the tour, Hal Sutton.
Yes.
Hal Sutton,
Texas.
Texas guy, but actually he is Louisiana. His dad had a cutting horse breeding operation, and he had a stud that he had a stud. His named Smart Little Scoot, and actually Hillary bought a horse called Scooter McGavin. It was a great horse. It really was a great horse. But anyway, my goal, once I made my first check, which was $214.68, finished in second in the 2000 limited amateur down in Carthage, Missouri.
Wow.
I said to myself, Hal, I'm coming after you. Because his lifetime earnings, you can go to the NCHA and find that his lifetime earnings is $42,000. Well, it took me 5 years to surpass that.
But you got him, didn't you?
But I finally got him.
Well, you
and
had
I
that
called
goal.
him up. I called him up and said, Hal, I finally got you. And he said, yeah, but how much did it cost you to get me?
That's right. The ledger,
Yeah.
the two sides of the ledger. Well, that's just awesome. Tom, I appreciate your time today. It's just been terrific. You are Kansas City and through. I know how much you love this city, just from the things we've been talking about giving back to this city. And it's been wonderful for me to know you and to get to know you all these years that I've been here. And I treasure that friendship. And I just
Frank,
think you're a
we've
great
had a
man.
wonderful relationship too. You're one of the good ones. you're the ones that you always came with a positive attitude about life and our interviews that we did over the years. And I appreciate that very much.
And thanks for dragging me around a couple of times. I played golf with you too, and taking Tom's great. Okay, if you ever had the wonderful opportunity to play golf with Tom, he knows you're nervous on the first tee. He just, hey, I know you're nervous, whatever. Tom will crack a joke, and from that point on, it's just play golf and have fun.
Didn't I tell you on the first tee? So why are you nervous? You're only playing with the 5-time British Open champion.
You did that. Thanks, buddy.
Okay,
I appreciate you being here. Tom Watson.
Thanks for having me.
On There's Just Something About Kansas City.